Hello, everyone. This is Jose Hernandez, and today I'm going to be talking about Chrome's development tools. Um, this video is intended to be as a tutorial for items that we can potentially use in this class in our career as web development developers. So let's get started here. So what is Chrome DevTools? It's the Google Chrome's browsers choice of tools to let us um, do element inspection. So we'll be able to look at the HTML, look at the styling sheets, look at the cascade, look at the orders, and be able to manipulate it on the fly on the actual browser and be able to update our code to get it just how we want people to see our tool or our browser. So to reach the development tools in the Chrome browser, we're just going to go to settings, more tools, and choose development tools. On the Windows operating system, the shortcut is Control Shift and capital I. And for those of us who have Macs, the shortcut will be the Command key plus the Options key and the uppercase I. So let's take a look at how we can do that. I just chose this. It's a development web page just to demo some of the stuff in the Chrome DevTools on this Chrome browser. So again, we'll go to settings, more tools, and check here on development tools, and it will bring up this page. Couple of cool things here is by default on my browser, it opens on the right-hand side of the screen. That can be manipulated if you click here on this little settings bar. You can actually decide where to dock the tools. If we're right-handed or right-brained, I don't know, or left-handed or left-brained, we can actually switch it to the other side of the screen. So we can work on it that way. We could put it in the bottom, and we can do it that way. Whoops, got confused there. Or we can undock it and put it as a separate window. That way, if we have multiple screens, we can have DevTools on one screen, and then just have the browser fly by itself. So cool little feature I found on that. When you open the tools, you'll see you'll have your elements, your console. You can select right there, or you can see it down here at the bottom. It's just going to show us if there's any errors and whatnot. Sources is going to show kind of the screen that we see in the VS Code, where we have the folders, etc. That's what our sources are going to be for the website, and that's pretty much what we're going to cover here. On the styles side, we're just going to see, depending on our interaction with the site, we're going to see what styles are selected or are applied to that element. So think of it this way: left-hand side, we have our HTML. Right-hand side on the styles, we're going to have our CSS, and eventually we can also put our JavaScript and be able to see that. So before we go on, just a couple of little things here. This little button here I find very, very useful, especially now that we've been tasked to do reactive website. So when we toggle that, we're going to see this side here. A couple of things we can do here when we're going from small to medium to large size screens is we can actually see in the numbers what our minimums and maximum margins are going to be. Couple of cool things I learned is if we go here in these gray little boxes in the middle, we can actually toggle the sizes. For example, if we want to use 320 pixels as our maximum width for the small viewport, we can do that. And we can increase it here to some of our larger viewports or larger cell phone screens. So I would say this is like a regular iPhone 7, 8, 9. Well, there's no iPhone 9 anyways. Then we go up to our Android bigger screen or plus screens. Then we go up to tablet views. And then our laptops, regular 15-inch laptops or 17-inch laptop, whatnot. We can actually also here select specific devices by brand. So for example, if I have an iPhone SE, I can click there, or an iPhone X. Those of you who are lucky to have that, you can go over here. Throttling is to see how much memory is being used, or how much available bandwidth is being used on the device to throttle loading the website. We can do that there. And if we want to see it on landscape or mode, which is when we rotate the device, we can do that. And we can see it that way. Cool little features there on the responsive side. Something I find really useful, especially when I'm trying to decide where in the code I want to see things, is I can go through the code and it'll actually highlight sections of the code. Now, this is a couple of things that I didn't know about the tools before I make this video. You see when I select this section with the ID of showcase, you'll see that on the top and the bottom, there's those green margins on the top and the bottom. That's actually the padding for this particular section, right? So we're gonna see here the padding on top and bottom is 3 REMs. We can actually have a visual of that if we wanted to select in here. Now let's say that's a little bit too much padding. We don't want that much padding. We can actually come here to the style and change that and see how that looks. So we can change that on the fly. Again, this will only change our active view. It won't change the code, but it would help us visualize what it would look like after that update. So we double click on the value. Let's say I want to throttle it down to 1 REM on the top, on the bottom, and 1 REM on the top. And if you see when I do that, everything is shifted on the website. And it's really neat because anything that you need to update here, all you really need to do is go to the value and double click. So for example, if in this section that we just manipulated, let's say I want to update this right here. Well, I can drill down into the containers, right? And you'll see the green there on the padding, that yellow on the right and left hand side, those are actually the margins. So that orange brownish color is going to be your margins. That green is going to be your padding. So let's see, I'm drilling down because I want to get to that paragraph to say, do you dream of, and manipulate that. Another cool thing, instead of me having to drill down and find the element, I can actually click on this select element page tab and click on what I want to manipulate, and it'll take me right to that spot. Let's do that again. You click on the selector and you choose what you want to select or what you want to look for. If you see it right there in that little pop-up box right below the element, it will tell you the actual name and class of the element, and you can actually see it highlighted right there in the code. So I thought that was pretty cool. And again, if you want to manipulate, we're going back to the do what you dream of. Let's say I want to update that and say, I can't dream, and click on that. It just changed that value. And again, This is just so we can have, as developers, a visual of what our user experience is going to be, and then we can go into our code and make that change permanent. Another cool thing here is that once we finish something, if we want to hide it, you see these little 3 dots right here. It gives you some options. You can click on that, or you can just click on the actual entry and right click. You'll get the same menu. If we see here, we can actually hide the element, and it keeps the stage for that element. But we just don't get to see it, right? I'm gonna add that back in. Another cool thing, especially when we're talking about activities, let's say your hover or active, visited, all that different CSS that gets involved, we can actually toggle it. So for example, these up here in the website, see how I'm hovering over it, and we do have CSS for hover there, and we really want to work on or test that CSS. We can choose one of these, right? It'll take us the exact entry, and we can actually go here on force state, and we can actually set it in active modes. And you'll see that right there, and you'll see how that's going to be a little different. I'll set it to hover, and what's that going to look like in CSS. So you'll see the CSS for hover for home is now forced, and that's why it's green and not black. And then when we're done, we can actually uncheck those force states and go from there. So yeah, this is just a little introduction of how the Chrome DevTools work. Again, this is meant as a very, very high level tutorial. There are a couple of videos on YouTube that I referenced for this tutorial. So feel free to Google away and Chrome DevTools tutorials, and it'll take us more into depth and what things we can take advantage of and manipulate and things like that. I found this very, very useful when I put in a line in CSS and I don't see it, that it's being applied. I can see here when it is blacked off there with that black line, it means that that particular line of code in the CSS has been substituted by something else. For example, this color in the Bootstrap CSS, if that's what you wanted, you'll see, oh, for that element, we're actually using this CSS and this value because it supersedes it. We can actually make the manipulation here to get it where we want our values to go. So really cool. Because CSS is in cascade mode, the order of it was put in is very, very important. So this will actually help us. It will actually also help us looking at our boxes, looking at our margins. Very, very useful tool. Hope this was instructive for everyone. Thanks for watching.